Dom, it's that show.
Show, Adam.
It's the show that never stops. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at Two Detroit Nerds. We got another all digital interview for you guys. There will be no video on this one, but we don't need video because we're talking about a game that's going to be gameplay on top of this when you watch the clips. And that game is going to be Call of Duty. And we got somebody here that he's more than an expert. He bleeds this game. He is Call of Duty. And I thought there'd be no of this new release, Modern Warfare 3, to come and talk to us about the real inner workings of this game and just talking about Call of Duty in general. We got Blazen on the track. What's up, Blazen?
What up? What up? I'm glad to be here. I love talking about COD, so and it's about that time of year.
Hell yeah, man. So how many years has it been now? How long would you say you've been playing Call of Duty?
So I first started Call of Duty when Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was out in December 2007, I think, right? That's
Yeah.
when, it came out. It came out in 2007. Yeah, but I played a little bit more Halo at that first year. But I still grinded COD 4, but I really started playing and like competitively, and even like got really good at World at War, Call of Duty World at War, which was the next Call of Duty after COD 4. But
loved World at War.
So I never played that one. Dom, you played World at War?
Yes, it was still like the old school style war. Nothing modern, obviously, but it was really good. Good gun selection, good maps. I don't know, man. There was something about that old day of Call of Duty. I just feel like there was a lot of titles from before that did it so well as opposed to now.
Yeah, everything's just different now. I consider it honestly just two completely different things. They're not even remotely the same anymore. I mean, they are kind of, but they're just the people that were good back in the day. If they haven't played for years, like you put them now, they're not going to. It's totally different.
So what for you? When you started playing it, I guess in 2007, you were probably just pub all-star. You came out of Halo. That's really where you learned FPS. But you get into Call of Duty, and when did you start taking it seriously? Like when did you start really enjoying the game?
So these guys, I was really good at just pub matches at first, and these guys found me out of a pub lobby because I had like 15 kills. This is like January of World at War, actually the same weekend that the movie Taken came out. I know, and they hit me up, and I started playing game battles with them. The website Game Battles. If anybody who's played Call of Duty probably knows it. And fun fact, unfortunately, Game Battles is actually shutting down in January. They just announced a couple days ago. But anyways, you started playing game battles. I was actually really, really good. Like I didn't realize how good I was, and I would hard carry my team. And I started playing with like better and better people. I learned about like Major League Gaming, MLG, and I just started getting more into the deeper parts of COD, the better people. But my biggest problem as a young kid was that I lived in Maryland, and Maryland was one of the 5 or 6 states that had like weird laws that basically made it so these websites wouldn't allow me to play tournaments. So I tried to get around it, but eventually everybody figured out where I lived and stuff. People stopped playing with me, and I did quit in Modern Warfare 3, and I stopped playing. This is when I did other things, like I DJ'd at the time, and I didn't play Black Ops 2, Ghosts, and AW. Then I came back in Black Ops 3 because all of a sudden, everything I knew in Call of Duty, first was like this grassroots, just kids on forums type thing. All of a sudden, there's all these like sponsorships and organizations, and Optic became a big thing, and YouTube blew up. And people that I knew and that I had played with all of a sudden had all this buzz, thousands of followers and everything. And I thought, I could just jump back into it and be like fine right away. And I started playing Black Ops 3 again, and took me a while to took me about a year again to get good. But I still, like, if I stuck with it, maybe I'd be at the top, but I never made it all the way to the top. I got so close, like very off the edges of the top amateurs, but I can't make it into the pros. It's kind of an exclusive club. A lot of people just needed to be at the right place and right time. The people that I knew back in the day that didn't quit, they kept sticking with it. And I was a little bit too old at that point. I was like 21 in Black Ops 3. So I competed still from then, it's just 2016 up until now. I mean, I played like competitively nonstop, and I made it deep into the scene. A lot of people know me in the scene, and I've competed at like tons and tons of LAN major tournaments. I've placed high and stuff like that. But now 29, but I have a 15-year like experience of just competitive Call of Duty, basically from the grassroots beginning part all the way until now, and I've seen it all. Unfortunately, I never made it myself, but I don't know. I'm still extremely good at the game, and I don't know. It's something I'm passionate about just because.
Yeah, you're a part of the community and you were there from the beginning. So I kind of want to know about your experience, going to these lands, going to these tournaments, placing, going after it, playing with an org. So kind of talk to me about your first sort of experiences doing that.
So when I was really young and there wasn't that much, it was only like these guys that were just making up their own organizations or team names that would branch into bigger actual organizations. So back in the day, I wasn't dealing with anybody, but when I came back in Black Ops 3 and like Infinite Warfare and World War II, I was under like a couple orgs. The biggest org I was under was like Impact Gaming. They were big because they ended up winning some H1Z1 tournaments while I was on there, which was actually cool. But most of the other orgs they would pay for your like flights and your team pass, and they would do this for all kinds of people that weren't even that good, and I never knew where the money was coming from. And there was just all these small guys that want to be the next Optic, and they would just basically just throw money around. I mean, I was good enough where I pretty much got sponsored like all the time. There was enough money if you were like even kind of bad, you could still get some funding.
Mm.
And but most of these guys nowadays all fizzled out, are all gone. Even the big ones that not big ones, but the ones that had some success kind of fizzled out, and many of them had to shut down. Only a few of them remain. So you got to be like the literal top of the top to get sponsorship now.
So, and in those days when it was, everybody was getting a piece of it, you were going to these tournaments. What was the turnout like? Were these sort of big events with a lot of, fanfare and a lot of people going to them, or were they kind of just sort of small, independent little, tournaments? Like, what was the vibe like?
So at first, when I was really young, I went to some local lands, which are just like in a random pizza arcade shop where they would chuck together some Xboxes, and I went to like two of those. And then when I got older, the majors, yeah, it's an amazing. They do a great job, amazing experience. I love Call of Duty events because I see tons of people I know. There's just good energy around. Everybody's excited, and you see all the people all over the city and the venue, maybe walking around. And I know so many people, so I always get to catch up. But uh, definitely, like they put on a good show at the majors. But there's back in the day, or 2016 to like 2020, before COVID, they would sell out the team passes like instantly. Like you'd have to buy the team pass instantly. Well, and there'd be 256 team passes. Nowadays,
Mm.
there's literally 60 to 90 team passes. You still have to buy it instantly, but
Mm.
they only allow like 60 to 90 because I think when they try to sell the 250, even though
Mm.
they do sell out 60 to 90, it just a lot of the time the 60 to 90 sells out because people are trying to resell them. That's the other issue that happens.
Mm.
But they've really lowered it, and they only get like 100 teams max, and maybe even like 60 teams by the last event. So, but this is for the challengers amateurs scene, which is disconnected from the CDL, which is the Call of Duty Pro League, basically, which are the same thing, but they're two separate, amateur and pro, basically.
Right.
Not,
So at these events, were there certain cliques? Like, were there certain groups that were the elite top tier? Like, was there a VIP section, and then were you available? Were you in that section, or were you kind of just a part of the masses? You were just a grinder. Like, what
well,
was the yeah?
it's funny because everybody has their place and is kind of known in the community to some extent, but then you see some like weird, like dysgenic people, and these are where they're like kings. They'll come here and these like dudes that like in real life, like they're nothing, but they're unlucky, and they come here and they're just gods, and people like surround, take pictures with them all the time. The pros walk around, but you see these famous, like
Mm.
quote famous, these people that have like hundreds of thousands of followers, even a million, just walking around right next to you.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, there's definitely like there's tons of fan people that are just total fanboys and stuff. But it's not like the paparazzi running, sign my thing. But
Yeah.
definitely everybody's staring at the pros like they're demigods, and you're like, oh, I've seen this guy. Maybe even sign your
Uh,
controller or something. I don't know.
What's the demeanor of like your average pro at that time? Like 2016 to 2020, you're in the biz, you're on a major org, but like who are the top the AAA guys? How do they act? What's their demeanor like?
Honestly, a lot of it is very. It used to be when I was younger. Very. What made Call of Duty great was the shit talking. Excuse my French, but
Mm,
people would just yell. There's clips on clips of people yelling at each other across the thing. It's kind of cringe, but some of the classics are actually like hilarious and just really, I don't know, really good. And
mm,
nowadays it's way more corporate and like PC. You got to be correct, like, or else you'll get canceled. So I
mm,
feel like most of the pros like keep to them. They don't try to create too much drama or like talk crap to anybody, and
mm.
they don't want they stray away from like that type of buzz because they don't want to get kicked off teams and stuff.
Hmm. And
So
like, that community element of Call of Duty that I always sort of recognize or am familiar with is that very mean spirited kind of very cutthroat. It's very like Gears of War had a similar type of community that was, very competitive, but I feel like Call of Duty attracts a special type of crowd of extremely competitive people that want to scream at each other and fucking almost throw hands over a video game. And kind of
We
talk
can call
about
it scummy, bro.
what'd you say now?
Let's just call it scummy because that's how a lot of them are.
well,
Not you,
yeah,
And-
and
obviously, Blazen.
I'd say pubs are a different vibe, though. Like, so that's true. Everything you just said is true. But when it comes to competitive, you have to deal with a lot of different people and a lot of different races and stuff, and you're known in the community as somebody, and you need people to play with you. So you can't be like that racist guy. You can't be known as like, I mean, you can be crazy, and there's tons of people. There is tons of hostility, tons of shit talk, tons of people going crazy, but it's not the guy in the game chat, saying a bunch of racism. It's not like that in competitive. It's more just like I don't know. I mean, yeah, really aggressive shit talk and such. And there are like definitely crazy kids, but I don't know. A lot of it is reputation in the community. It's a huge part of how you progress, and that comes from like, you know, again, dick riding people, literally not being too like crazy and making a bunch of enemies. Like, so
Mhm.
it's you got to play your card. It's politics. Sorry, it is a lot of
Politics.
politics. Tons of politics in Call of Duty. Like
Talk about Twitter a little bit. Talk about how Twitter
it's
fits into this.
Twitter. Call of Duty is the most active esport on Twitter. So Twitter is everything to Call of Duty, and it actually matters. Like, it's annoying. Like, I will judge people based off who's following them, like based on like who I follow, they follow. Like, do people know them? Are they known in the community? At this point, I'm so deep in it. Like, people better follow you, and at least just a few. Maybe that
Mhm.
maybe you're on the come up or something. But you have to have a Twitter presence. And when you meet people, you say, "Hey, what's your Twitter?" and you follow each other, and like everybody's just willing to do that. People are way more, they just, I don't know, they just talk on Twitter way more than any esport. People are very vocal about things.
And would you say that the shit talking from the game chat has kind of gone from the game chat into Twitter? Do you think that's a big part of the community now as well?
Yes, so, I mean, so there I'd say I just don't see it as much, but there definitely was like a lot of drama, and people loved like drama in Call of Duty on Twitter or in like what's called Money Eights, which is when a bunch of Call of Duty kids get together and they pick teams and play for money, and they do team captains. It's just like pick up eights, and that's usually
Mhm.
where drama is like entertainment. Kids will watch streams, just pure entertainment. And this used to be like this before 2020, and the whole vibe, everything shifted after 2020. And that also comes with the fact that Call of Duty went to PC, which came with a ton of
Mhm.
hackers, which completely changed everything. Hacking
Yeah.
changed everything.
Now, Dom has brought this up a little bit too with hackers. Dom, like, do you feel free to jump in? Do you think that this new release, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, is impacted by hackers, and do you think that's going to change how much people want to play it?
Um, I've tried to stray away from that honestly because I don't want to just be out here playing in matches and thinking everybody's hacking because they killed me a specific way. But it's also hard at the same time to see certain things happen and not at least consider it, not necessarily accuse, but at least consider whether or not somebody's doing it because you do realize, like Brady said, at this point that we are at with Call of Duty, it's at a much higher number of hackers than it ever has been. Like I remember the most you'd get back in the day, let's say the original Modern Warfare 2 days, the most hacking you were getting was like hacked lobbies, modded lobbies, and the majority of people were really just joining those to just boost their ranks. Like I remember one of my cousin's buddies.
It was like a game bug, right? It wasn't even. You could
Yeah,
just
it was
join
like
up a
you'd get in the
lobby.
lobby, yep, and then it was just like majority of people were in there just spamming noob tubes and things like that. It wasn't really toxic. Everybody knew why they were in there. You know what I mean? Like everybody was there to get max prestige, get all the medals. That's all it was really for. Or even like how the people nowadays do like the unlock tools and whatnot to get all camos, all mastery, whatever. It was more so for that. Outside of what we're seeing nowadays. Nowadays, you know, you have aimbot, you have wall hacking, you have all these different things that just aid to somebody's playing so much more than anything else
Most
would have.
people are not as blatant though. I'll say about the hacks because
Yeah,
they brought in the ricochet, which did like basically will ban people that are blatantly hacking like quickly. Like they'll get banned quickly. That's the one thing that they have improved on over the last few years. But there's tons of people hiding it, and and that's the issue. But in my opinion, most people cannot discern. They're not like good enough to like really. You have to be so good at Call of Duty to like really be able to tell if somebody's hacking or not, and if they're really good at hiding it. And that's why these admins, some of the admins that are like take it really seriously, they actually are really, really good and serious about finding the hackers and competitive. But they're just always there. They always find out this guy was hacking, or this guy who won Crafty, one of the most winning S&D players, was hacking for years, and he stole so much money from so many people, and they never caught him. And it took a long time because he's so good at hiding it. They play differently.
Tell the story just for listeners who don't know like the context.
I played Crafty in 2016, 2017, 2018, and I'd play him in wagers and I beat him. He was a regular kid. And then all of a sudden in 2020, he's like, when Modern Warfare came out, 2021, 22, he became like the Don, the guy to beat, the guy to win all the S&D tournaments. And some reason, he'd play with pros. He would play with like all the top pros, all the top people, super known in the community. Had his stream going. It wasn't super big streaming, but I mean, because he was known, he had a stream. And eventually, it turns out the beginning of Modern Warfare 2, which is last year, after he's won, cleared people out for like 2 months, which is just chows and tournaments. They finally figure out that he was cheating. Like, and I forget how they figured it out, but they 100% confirmed he was cheating. Oh yeah, they end up searching your PC. They force you to do a PC check, like the admins, and they claim even if they try to wipe it and stuff that they can figure things out. And I think they figured. Oh yeah, they eventually all they did. Oh yeah, they found an email from a hack company saying thanks for your purchase.
Oh
wow,
shit!
What an idiot!
Yeah.
So there's companies that will facilitate this for gamers.
Oh yeah, there's a
absolutely.
company in Germany that got a cease and desist or got sued by Activision for like millions of dollars and got destroyed. I'm pretty sure by them. They're trying to send a message, but like they don't care. There's so much money to be made in the hack if you're a hacker. Like if you can figure out how to hack Call of Duty, the first one, imagine you can make so much money.
So with MW2 going back a year, what would you say? Is there a specific time you can think back to where it was like, you know, because that was a PC integrated one, right? Or was there a one before that was?
Yeah, no, there's PC since Modern Warfare 1, the 2019, Modern Warfare 2019, which
Okay.
November
So
2019.
when did you which Call of Duty title did you start noticing the hacking thing was starting to get out of
When Modern
hand?
Warfare came out, kids were just blatant about it at first. They were like just coming out. They didn't even care. They just came out and kids were just hacking and all the first tournament. So immediately the whole community got like shook. And it honestly began the quitting, like the mass small percentage of quitting, just lowering the player base, and especially the search and destroy scene, which was like the backbone of Call of Duty. The most people played search and destroy. And when I say that, they played wagers, they played for money all day. You could go on, you could play for $1, $2, $5, play a chow for $20, $100, and there would be tons of it nonstop. You could like literally all day, all night, play 4v4s. By May in Modern Warfare 2, completely dead in PC. First time ever. Can't even get a match. Can't even play a 4v4 if I wanted to on PC unless I signed up for a tournament, which nobody would be signing up for at that point, because by that point in the last game, everybody who wanted to play Search was playing console only. So luckily that is the one saving grace maybe that I believe a lot of people will flock towards console only. It's just that there's some disadvantages from having a console instead of a PC. People don't like that, and they spent money on a PC. But Regardless, it's the only answer, and that's what slowly more and more people are doing to search. You can get a match if you have console only. You can do all that stuff if you're console only still, but the overall player base is dwindled, especially on PC. Like people are just afraid to play. They don't want to get hacked on and lose their money, and they just get discouraged and quit.
I don't blame him, bro. I mean, it's like he said, bro. Adam, like Brady said, it's just it's so many people can do it and they can hide it to the fact that it's like you said, it's hard to tell the difference, and it's like you don't want to be in a game trying really hard, putting in all this time, and then you don't have a clear answer whether or not somebody's playing legit. I don't feel like
Especially
everybody hacks,
competitive. I mean,
obviously.
half the time you really don't know. I mean, kids are so good. Like it looks like you're getting hacked on all the time.
Yes, yeah, that's my biggest issue is like I'm very well aware like there's the average player base is so much better than it used to be, let's say 7-8 years ago, and I would say that's due to obviously like the internet plays a big role in that, to me at least. Like at a time of like let's go back to 2012, there was things in Call of Duty that were just not known of that weren't hard to find out. Like there was literally spots you could find and nobody would know for like 5 to
Yeah, we
6
didn't have
matches straight.
YouTube either.
Right, for everybody to know about all the things to do to better your
Or
playing.
Twitter,
And
a Twitter clip.
yeah, and then it just got so much bigger and it just kept getting out there to the point where it's like so many kids. Plus, you have to also consider so many people have a lot more time in the day to play and practice things out. So that's also why a lot of
I would
people
say
are
that the
super
skill
good.
gap is higher than ever in Call of Duty right now in Modern Warfare 3, which is another
Yes.
point is why they have skill-based matchmaking, which is basically to protect newer players. They'll match you up with what it's called a hidden MMR that the game knows, and they'll try to match you up with players around your skill. So that's another new invention that they've created.
Do you feel like that's helped? Do you feel like that's a good thing, or what are your thoughts on that?
At this point in Call of Duty, I I don't know. I really am confused on what I want because I don't like it because then people don't want to get better. Also, I'm constantly in sweat lobbies. You get punished if you do good, stuff like that. But also, newer players will just get completely destroyed and discouraged, and the skill gap is higher than ever for various reasons, just like dead silence and the whole buttons on the back of controller, slide canceling, like movement, like just I don't know. It's higher than, in my opinion, this game specifically. Modern Warfare 3 is a higher skill gap than the last like 3 CODs. So skill
Wow.
based matchmaking may actually be needed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would just dominate every lobby. Like when I like
Yeah, but that's when
So,
it was still fun
yeah.
like that too. Like I'm not saying. Let me first say this: I would never want it to be to the point where it's like I'm constantly getting in bot lobbies and then I'm just running lobbies because after a certain amount of time, that's not going to be fun anymore because it's like little to no competition. But Brady is right. Like even for me, not yesterday, a few days ago, I was playing right, like 6-7 games in a row. I didn't even do good, and then a game or two in a row, I did pretty good. Nothing crazy. Like I went like 30-7, and then like 36-12. So again, nothing crazy. And then it was like the next 10 matches in a row, I'm just in lobbies full of sweats, and it's like, bro, this is not. It does not average out to the way it should. So I don't even
people
know.
also underestimate how good the average person is now, too, in my opinion,
Yeah,
because we've all been playing this game for so long. Like the things I knew early on, 2, 3, 4 years in, the noobs know now, like just off natural playing for 10, 12 years.
So I guess now this kind of brings me to our latest release of Call of Duty. Kind of give me what do you think, Blazen, are the biggest like reasons why this game is not as good as it should be? Or if you think it's great, tell me what are the reasons for that as well. Like what are your overall thoughts?
Comparatively, like Modern Warfare 3 is finally like them perfecting all the little things that they messed up on in Modern Warfare 1 and 2. The fact is it's this whole new gen of COD that they're just trying to build on, and they're truly, it seems to be like they're showing us, we're not going back. We're only trying to build on this type of Call of Duty. So they did a good job on this type of Call of Duty, but it's just a question: do you like this Call of Duty or not? And I just love COD, so I'm gonna keep playing it. But overall, I mean, I feel like people would say no, they like these other games in the past. Even the Jetpack games were better, and I believe that a lot of the reasons gaming as a whole, and especially Call of Duty, is not as good. One, probably just ran out of things to innovate. But two, a lot of the focus is on microtransactions and like how to milk more money out of the game. Well, 15 years ago, it was a bunch of nerds who just made a game. They didn't know that the money was just gonna about to pour in and that they were gonna
Mhm.
make the greatest game ever. They were just passionate trying to make a good game. They cared about the game first. But now the CEO of Activision knows like, oh, I can milk this. I could really figure out a way to like microtransaction, get skins, all this stuff. So that's what their focus is on, and it causes all types of little small things that just mess up the game. The game just doesn't. It's not good. Like it's just not that good. Like yeah, it's a good version. It's like a polished piece of poop. Like it's
A clean
So
turd.
So yeah, getting into just I guess the developers and what you'd want from them. What do you think would make an like? Let's say they were like, "All right, Blazon, we're gonna make Call of Duty the way you want it made." What would be some of the first things you would tell them to do?
I'm not gonna lie. They need to just scrap this new gen COD and go back. Like I know it sounds nobody wants to go back, but they need to try to make some sort of like older style or even jetpacks again. Like I just think they need a whole new style of COD, like this Modern Warfare 3. They can't keep going with this. If they do this for another 3 years, man, it's just gonna be so boring and it's gonna be the same thing. So they
It, it,
just
it's it's almost already boring. Like, let's be
yeah.
honest. When we got on this Call of Duty, I'm not expecting it's come out a year after the first one, so it's not going to be that much different. I knew that going in, but even the fact that most of the maps are just renditions of old maps, it really felt like I paid $79 for a fucking expansion, a DLC for MW2, where I wasn't really getting a new game. I was more just getting new content with the same old
Well,
engine and you know.
I,
That's basically
most
what
people
it
don't
is.
most people don't know this, but well, some people do, but that a year ago, if you're talking to me and people are saying like, "What's the next Call of Duty?" There were people on podcasts talking, like this guy Aches was saying that, who like knew people in Activision saying that the next year of COD was going to be an expansion, and they were going to sell us an expansion. That was the plan. So it was literally
Mhm.
gonna be a Modern Warfare 2 expansion. But Modern Warfare 2 was such a bomb, and people didn't like it at all. So they switched that like idea and just made Modern Warfare 3. Like, but they had plans for the first time ever. I think they even had said like they didn't announce they said they weren't going to make another Call of Duty the next year. They might have explicitly said that.
They did.
Um, yeah, and then they went back on it. And so this is an expansion. Granted,
Right.
it's a better version of Modern Warfare 2. They fixed a lot of the things that were made Modern Warfare 2 really bad, but the whole aura of it is just not as good as I don't know. They need to scrap this, but for
Mhm.
now, I'll play with. I just like Call of Duty, and I'm not. I don't know. I don't know how to stop. I love it too much. So
No,
I know
think
too
So
many
about it, bro.
people in it.
Goes back to the cash grab thing that you said. Like, it, if they would have actually taken the time, like, let's be real. If they would have really taken the time, like how they used to back in the day when Infinity Ward would release a Call of Duty, and then the following year Treyarch would. I think that was the best thing they did because it gave each of the companies a whole year of time to actually perfect and polish their games. Whereas now, I mean, when was the last time it took more than a year for a new Call of Duty to come out? It's been a minute now, right? Haven't they just been releasing them year by year? And to bring it back to the whole milking thing, it's literally like we got charged twice. First, it was for like an unreleased, a not good rough copy of the game, and then now it's like, okay,
Yeah.
we'll slap
Here's
some
the
new
real
maps
game.
on the game. Here's a couple new weapons, and then boom, here's the real game we meant to release, but still give us another $70 to $100 for it. Like
And if we
it's
want to talk about
crazy.
the new game, it actually like don't get me wrong, I'm gassing it up and stuff, but the problem with it is the maps are terrible. Yeah, we all get a nostalgia for
They're
Modern Warfare
bad,
2,
bro.
but they're
They're real
too
bad.
big. They're just way too big, and you're literally spending so much time just sprinting around, and the spawns are so bad. So just I don't know, the game is so takes so long to get into some interactions, and then maybe you just die right away. You got to run forever again. It's it's like the maps are just not good. I'm not gonna lie. Like at least
No,
half
and
of them are, six of them are good, and then like 10 of them are terrible.
no, and that surprised me, bro, because when they first announced that they were gonna release the OG Modern Warfare 2 maps, right? In my head, like you said, the nostalgia just right away kicked in. I was like, damn, this is gonna be awesome. This
Even
is one thing I've
derail,
been
even
waiting
derail.
for. Oh, bro, it's so bad. There's literally maps I'm running through. Like can't see a single person, and I'm just getting one tapped all day. And I'm like, bro, where the fuck was he at all?
Yeah.
Like, can't see shit. Like you said, running around everywhere. Also, one thing I don't think I realized on the original Modern Warfare 2 was how many fucking. Well, actually, no, I take that back. It happened with this one. There's now so many more mountable objects and areas that you can go to that I feel like you couldn't in the original, to the point where it just added a whole plethora of just new camping spots and new spots to sit in corners, all these other things. So I don't know, bro.
That was one of the
They got to do
first
something.
memes when Modern Warfare 2019 beta came out. It was like a picture of like a lane, and it's like trying to watch this lane, and it's circled like all the spots, and there's like 12 spots that somebody could come out of. Like, and it makes the game. That's why competitive is not as fun either, in my opinion. You can't limit the game down as much. There's so much more randomness and like timing involved because there's so many areas people can come out of. You can't. It's
Yeah,
way harder to lock stuff down, hold a whole like lane off.
I mean, it comes down to like making the right guess at where somebody's gonna be
You have
between,
to
like you
play for
said, 10 to
timing.
12 spots. Yeah, you literally do. Like you have to play. Like I was telling you earlier before we started this, I've noticed like you have to be a lot more passive, especially with this new game, because you can't just go assume, okay, well, there's 3 spots in this lane I know somebody could come from, right? Which 3 spots isn't that hard to check between and hold down. Now it's triple to quadruple that, and it's like you kind of get caught with a little bit of confusion because you're like, oh, I gotta watch this, I gotta watch this, I gotta watch all these. What should I do? Now you're
Mm.
flustered. Now you may not make the same decision you would have made before, and it's insane.
It just
And it's
plays into
not like we're
all of
talking a
it.
1v1 either. We're talking 6v6. So you're not even just down to having to find out where 1 or 2 people are going to be. It's like half to the whole team, and it just really can fuck with your head. At least mine.
Maybe I'm too old, but I just think it's all comes into there. It's too complicated. Like it's all there's
Yes.
too much. Even the UI, all this stuff. There's just too much, and they don't. They need to like simplify things. But we're living in. Maybe I'm just behind the times, and the future's coming, and I don't know. They're just gonna get more advanced. But
Nah, bro. I feel like they really. Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of us being as old as we are. It's Adam actually pointed it out to me the other day. We were on a phone call, and he was saying like not really none of the recent Call of Duties really give that arcade feel that really set Call of Duty apart from a lot of these FPS. It was just it was the perfect game to stamp on the face of an arcade shooter. Now it's just like we were saying, it just changed now. There's just so much more involved that you have to stay up with, that if you don't, you're just gonna drastically fall behind. I don't know.
yeah,
And,
that's the other
and
thing. It's highly competitive. Too many people are playing nowadays after COVID hit. So many people are on the game. Wait, what were you gonna say, Adam?
And let's be real. Like a lot of this is just bloatware. You're looking at a UI where every time I click on something, it's trying to forward me to a place where I have to pay for something, and it's
Yeah,
just
buy the black cell.
it's so out of this world manipulative for especially these younger gamers that this is the only environment of gaming that they know. They only know microtransactions. They only know, oh, I gotta pay $50 for every time a new update comes out because I gotta get all the new skins and all the new guns that get unlocked. Like they don't even understand that there used to be a time where you could actually just grind for this shit and it was fun. Now it's like if you wanted to grind for it, you're gonna be no lifing, and it's not even gonna be fun to get. And or you got to pay money, and the game is just set up to make you pay money after you've already paid $70 for the game. It's very
Yeah, it
manipulative.
sucks, dude. Like
Yeah.
with most things, specifically what we're talking about with these kind of games, like less is more, and I feel like they kind of just threw that idea out the window and just didn't give a fuck. Because I'll tell you this, I'm glad it didn't get me the way the original Modern Warfare, or not, I'm sorry, not the original, the 2019 Modern Warfare did. That was the last Call of Duty I bought any skins in, any guns, any of that. And now I don't even care to do that. But when you browse through the store and really see how many different things they have in there to take your money with, not saying it's forced, in no way is it forced. It's obviously always choice, but it's that's insane to me as well. Because Call of Duty, I felt like strayed away from that for a long time until I forgot what was the first Call of Duty that had
Um,
microtransactions. Was it fucking Black Ops 3?
I
Yeah,
know. Yeah, I
or
think it was Black Ops 3 is what my head was immediately going towards. Because I know in Infinite Warfare they had keys and you could buy the keys.
yep.
And I'm pretty sure the game before still had. something. But I pride myself knowing that I've never given Activision more than a cent than I had to. I never bought a skin. I hate them. I hate Activision
Good.
because they've
Yeah, I
destroyed
can't say
COD
the same.
and forced it. Like because of how manipulative they are with the microtransactions, I refuse to give them any more money. I'm just addicted to COD, so I give them $60 a year, unfortunately. But beyond that, I'm not buying none of those skins.
So I guess now that you're playing with a player base that's a lot younger than you, right? I'm assuming now most of the people that you deal with in lobbies or like even join up on teams with are quite younger than you. What would you say are some of the biggest differences between like your generation and the newer gamers?
Well, the game is just way more like cracked out in general. You just got to be like just like Fortnite. You just got to be I don't know. You got to do more than you definitely had to back in the day. I think I want to touch upon a question a lot of people have is like how their age is going to affect their gaming. And for me, I used to like
Yeah.
I'm 29 now. I think it's more like pro sports where like if you stop playing, you might like kind of lose some of it. But if you keep playing, you could probably be good up until you're around your 30s. And if you're really good, you can maybe play through your 30s, but it starts to taper off.
Hmm.
So I've learned also that you have two reaction times. You have one reaction time that's like, see the light and press the button, like how fast you can do that. And that does, I guess, kind of cap out when you're younger up until like 20, 18 or 21, but it barely kind of tapers off and it really tapers off in your like mid 30s. That's when it actually
Yeah.
starts to matter. The second one is your decision making reaction time, how fast you can make a decision, and that actually gets higher until you're like 25 when your like brain's like fully developed, and then you're still like riding that high, like of pretty good decision making reflex time. So you still aren't bad when you're in your late 20s, in my opinion. The only thing that could also get bad though is your body. You could get tired of like sitting all the time, and some people might get like different forms of like carpal tunnel because they play like claw or something
Yeah.
and your body can get old. But just like any sport, I just think esports is exactly like sports. And at being 29 now, I feel like how probably a 29-year-old sport person would feel.
Right. So
Yeah,
you
for
feel like,
sure.
you feel like the sun is beginning to set on your effectiveness in comparison to, some of the newer guys coming out who have all this time to get better and their brains are still on the upswing, in terms of, like you said, your reaction time capabilities and things like that. So that's
Yes. But
interesting.
since I
Yeah.
haven't stopped, I still have it. I wonder I think my old self might have been better only because I played more and I cared more because I cared way more about only the game. Now I have life stuff to get in the way of my time and my thinking and my passion, and I am passionate about COD, but the level of passion I had back in the day. That's the reason I think maybe I would be better back then, but I still think my skills are like insanely high, like even like they haven't really tapered off yet. But I could feel the sun beginning to set just from my body, more from like the feeling of like maybe a slight soreness, maybe my back. I'm like, oh, I just want to stand up or move or something. And I didn't think about these things from when I was
Right.
younger.
So, I guess since we're getting towards the end here, I wanted to ask you about, the different types of personalities that are attracted to Call of Duty. And I mentioned this earlier in this interview, but I really do think that there is something specific about the communities that form in Call of Duty. And I think it speaks to kind of the way that the game is played. Like you said, it's very cracked out. You kind of have to be doing a lot of things at once. You kind of have to be a little bit, let's say, stimulated
Yeah, a
and
lot of kids are stimulated nowadays.
yeah,
Hopping
kind
on
of talk
Natties
about
and fucking Red Bulls.
talk about how that's sort of influencing the game as well. As you kind of have this underbelly of stimulant users that play Call of Duty. Let's talk
Yeah,
about that.
that wasn't a thing until like all of a sudden Adderall just got bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden everybody's taking it at tournaments. Kids are taking insane amounts at tournaments. And
Mm,
like just
It's
the
nuts,
kids
bro.
don't even take Adderall or taking like a ton of like they're all taking Adderall, and kids are starting to buy prescriptions. There's all kinds of people that are just like pressing stuff, making fake addies and saying they're fake addies, but they're still like
yeah,
they do the same effect, and they'll just
mm.
sell it to people in the community. It's a huge thing now in the community for just stimulant use. I mean, not everybody, but just the usage is way higher. because of just society.
And I think, because I haven't been super into gaming in the last, 5 or 6 years. I've gotten into it more in these past 2 years. But one thing I can say has been a consistent thing of comparing Call of Duty communities to other gaming communities is like Call of Duty would be the only lobby where I join and there'd be one resident drug dealer, one hacker, one scam artist, all in the same party, hanging out together playing Call of Duty. Blazen, why do you think Call of Duty attracts the criminal mind?
I mean, if I want to be honest, Call of Duty, I believe like the lower trenches of society, that's what they would play. Like they usually don't have a PC either. Like they didn't start off with a PC at least. They usually start off with consoles, and that's the console game in America. So kids who are poor, they buy a console. They don't have a PC. So I don't know. Maybe I don't mean to say that like poor criminals. I guess that sounded bad, but just like it's not rich. I don't know. It's not like that's it's an easy game to get into. It's a lower barrier of entry.
Right, right. So, like for example, if
Other
you
games
need
like
to,
Valorant and CS:GO, you need like all kinds of stuff just to get into it.
right, the it's almost like you can play pickup basketball with anybody, but it costs money to be a snowboarder, basically. So,
Exactly,
like, if you,
exactly.
Yeah,
I see, I see. So Call of Duty is kind of the pickup basketball of video games, where you're getting this intersection of so many different kinds of people because so many different kinds of people can play. So I guess what would you say are some of the, just in closing, if I were a new, let's say I was a 16-year-old whippersnapper, new kid, just got my first console. What advice would you give me, Blazin, if I wanted to get serious with Call of Duty?
Nowadays, you just have to like to get into it, you just have to figure out ways to meet people and like via Discord, get into a Discord and or ranked play, and just be like put yourself out there and be like, hey, bro, you want to play? And accept the fact that when you're a noob, you're gonna get egoed all the time. Nobody's gonna want to play with you. But eventually, somebody might want to play with you, and that's gonna lead to somebody else, and it's gonna lead you to more people. And you just have to be a social person, and just you're gonna have to build your connections. And it's pretty easy though. Like people want to build connections, and like we all share like the common goal. I don't know. It's easy to get along with a lot of people. So if you're just not like afraid to like put yourself out there,
Mhm.
you just have that's really what you got to do, and just start building up, and you'll naturally just flow. But at first, nobody wants to play with you, and you waste a lot of time. We're just alone, and you get to build everything up, and it takes time. And I would also want
if I
to
can add, I'd
build.
say it'd be a sponge, taking all the knowledge and shit you see other people doing and see what's working for people and make it your own, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, I've also built connections with these people that I've met a bunch of times in real life through the events, and like I've known them for years and years now too. So I consider some people I've known in Call of Duty like some of my best friends, honestly.
Nice,
That's a good
nice.
thing.
Yeah, and it really does give you that community, like we talk about the negatives of it, but there are positives. Like you have friends, all over the country, all over the world now because of this game. And it's really a beautiful thing that's so unique to, these last couple of generations. Is it's totally normal for us to have a friend that we've never met, that we're talked to almost every day, that we play this, intense video game with and have share these intense emotional moments with, that you might only get to meet in person maybe 2, 3
Yeah,
times in your life, if that.
bro, being on a team, I talk about this, is like being in a relationship. Like you got to deal with people every day for hours talking to them. You got to deal with all their swings, down swings when they're mad, angry. You got to deal with it, and like it's hard. Like you got to work through things. You're gonna argue. It's like it's being on a team in Call of Duty is like way harder and stressful, and people don't realize like like how much work it takes. Honestly, it's just like a relationship.
So I guess with that, Dom, do you got anything for Blazin?
Yeah, Blazen, I'm gonna need to know when those Call of Duty mentor classes come out on your end, because there's a lot I need to pick up on.
We
So
need
gonna
we
be
need
first on
ranked
mine.
play to come out. Ranked
I
play.
swear, bro. Because I will be honest with you, when we played ranked at the time, you know me, bro. I was running mainly hardcore, and then you were like, bro, just play core, come try out ranked, and Adam, you can even ask Brady. We played maybe 10 games, like even
Yeah.
still to this day, but the amount of difference I noticed with just playing with him and picking up on the tips that I did throughout ranked play, had I stuck with it, I would have been a lot better at just like in pubs, whatever it is, because it does mold your brain in a different way than if you're just constantly running pubs. You realize what more you need to become aware of, how much differently you can move.
You care a lot more all of a sudden too,
Yes.
because like you're not mad about. I mean, you are mad about dying, but in like pubs, you're like, oh, this is pubs. But in that, you're like, all right, I need to do this next time. You start thinking about it, and yeah, you care a little more. It's more if it's fun being competitive. Even though you're dying, you're like you get better progressively. You can see it, and you get better faster. And there's some progression to see. Unlike pubs, it's kind of just how many kills can I get? Is the skill-based matchmaking higher? You don't even know.
Yeah, and in pubs, you know, if I'm doing bad in a game, I'll just fucking back out. Ranked, you don't feel as compelled to do that. You're like, nah,
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
want to. You know what I'm
try.
saying? Yeah, you don't want to take away from the team. You don't want to put
You don't
anybody
want
at
to
a
be that guy either.
disadvantage.
You gotta
Right.
try, because if I'm on a team of people and they say we're just a squad of 4 and you're just giving up and we're like down 100, 200 to 100 or something, like yeah, I don't want to play with you anymore. So nobody's giving up. Everybody's trying till the end.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Well, Blazen, thanks so much. We'll definitely have you on again for other, more political topics. But this was a good intro to Blazen, and we'll call this Behind the Headset with Blazen. And thanks so much for taking the time, man.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Appreciate you.
Thank you guys for having me on. I was glad to talk about it. I love talking about Call of Duty.
Hell yeah, man.
Know it.